So quick apologies everyone for the delay in getting this video out. Basically, once you reach a certain point in the story, anything that I would have shown you gameplay wise would have been like an instant spoiler. So even where I'm at right now, I'm about 40 hours into the game, and there are certain things like I'm gonna try and avoid doing in order to not kind of spoil the content of this game. God of War Ragnarok is a massive, massive experience. In fact, this game is basically God of War 2018, but about double or triple the size. And at times, like when I first started this game, I was completely overwhelmed by the abundance of content, all the personalization options, the upgrades, and everything combined. It basically just sets you off into this world and gives you these massive hubs to explore. And the first game was large in scale, but it was manageable. You had like that large open world hub in Midgard that connected you to all these different realms, which were a little bit more linear in nature. And then this game basically has all 9 realms accessible. Not all of them are, large substantial worlds. Some of them are just more linear based story progression levels, but a good chunk of them essentially have large explorable space that you can kind of roam around in and find stuff and do side missions in. It is just so massive in terms of what this game offers you. And again, I'm 40 hours into the game. At this point, probably another 10 hours or so, I would have actually hit my playthrough time of the original God of War 2018. I believe God of War 2018 took me around 50 hours to actually complete. And I did everything in that game. I even did all the challenges, did all the special, loot in Tyr's, temple and all that crap. So like I basically did all the side missions and did everything in God of War 2018, and it took me that long. And now that I'm coming up to officially around the same time that it took me to complete God of War 2018 in a almost 100% fashion, I have to say that it feels like I'm not even halfway through the story at times. Like this game still has so much more to offer me. So it is absolutely insane. This game is going to take you a very, very, very long time to play. And, the initial beginning hours of this experience are going to feel overwhelming at times. Now that I've gotten used to the structure of the game, I've started to do a lot more side missions. I've started to, get a lot more of the unlocks and, just get the lay of the land, so to speak. It's become a lot more manageable, but it still is such a massive, massive ordeal to, partake in. And when you're starting this game, just keep in mind that unless you have an abundance of time on your hands, this game is going to last you weeks, if not months. It is huge. So other than the scale of the experience, how does the rest of the game fare? This is an incredible follow-up to a game that I personally gave my game of the generation. I mean, God of War 2018 took me by complete surprise. Not only did it completely wrap God of War in this brand new gameplay canvas, brand new elements, brand new worlds to explore, a completely different gameplay structure. It also provided you with some of the most beautiful graphics, some of the most incredible sound design, and then an emotional storyline that packed quite a punch as well. It was some of the best cinematography, narrative storytelling in gaming, and I was so blown away by it that I gave that game my personal game of the generation, that I considered it basically excellent in all regards. God of War Ragnarok more or less continues the elements of its gameplay. It refines a bit of structure here. Kratos has a little bit more agility this time around. The levels are a lot more vertical in structure, and so you can pull yourself up to ledges, and kind of zip your way around the levels in a much more quicker fashion. And this provides an amount of adrenaline to the combat that, while present in God of War 2018, is just doubled down in this experience. The puzzle solving is still a very important element to the exploration of this world, and so you'll be solving puzzles, going to different areas of the world, and then some areas are not accessible right away, so you sort of have to backtrack and revisit these worlds over time as you start to get new gear and new equipment to access previously unexplorable areas. The entire pacing of everything is very similar to God of War 2018. Just keep in mind that it's drawn out in a lot longer fashion because there's just so much more to do. And because of that, it feels a little bit less focused at times. I think the storytelling element is still very strong in this one. All the characters that you meet, new and returning, are just exceptionally well done and well written, and everyone has a personality and a backstory that the game really puts an emphasis on, so you really feel connected to everyone around you. And then there's a ton of lore, a ton of backstory. The game does a really good job of handing you different bits of information that you can find throughout the world that sort of bring you up to speed on its relevance to the Norse mythology, as well as what its purpose is within this new God of War-like structure. But it's really the narrative here that steals the show. God of War 2018 took a more intimate approach to its storytelling and really focused in on the character of Kratos and how he would be in a situation where he's basically unfit and unprepared. I have to say that for Ragnarok, I've been really surprised at the twists and turns that the story has took so far. It's gone in directions that I've never even expected, and basically my eyes have been glued to the screen the entire time. But even though the exhaustion kind of sets in from exploring the world just because there's so much content, right? You feel so overwhelmed at times. It's the narrative that kind of keeps pushing you through to that experience. And I have to say that the direction of where the story has gone has just been completely surprising and completely refreshing as well, like sort of a new perspective on the Norse mythology and these characters, and they've just done an exceptional job with each and every one. They're familiar yet new in many different ways. Like they're just very interesting takes on the characters, and I really appreciated that they decided to take sort of the narrative liberties and go in a different direction like they did with this game. It's been such an incredible experience from a narrative perspective so far. Definitely, I would say on scale with God of War 2018, maybe perhaps slightly less impactful in certain areas though. One of the complaints I know a lot of people have with God of War 2018 is that it was missing those large scale, sort of epic boss fights, and also the game felt that it was decidedly less violent even though it was super intense. The gore has been toned down a lot, in God of War 2018. You were fighting more mythological creatures than you were, actual humans or gods or anything like that. This game, they definitely went with a more bloody, more visceral, and more violent combat system overall. The enemies you faced are a lot more organic by nature. There's a lot more blood in this one. However, I think if you're hoping for large-scale bosses, while this game definitely has those and probably has more than God of War 2018 ever did, it's still not on the number or even the scale of the previous God of Wars. If you're hoping for something like the beginning of God of War 3, so far throughout my 40-hour experience in the game, I haven't reached anything that's come close to something like that. Still, however, it's been a really fun ride, and from a narrative perspective, it's been incredibly rewarding and interesting, emotional as well. And although I haven't completed the game yet, I have to say that I am eagerly anticipating the end of this game, just to see how they wrap it up with all the different directions and the interesting twists that they've had in the narrative thus far. It's I have no idea what they're gonna do, but so far it's been an incredible journey, an incredible ride, and very, very fun. So, God of War Ragnarok is a continuation of God of War 2018. It doesn't do much with the gameplay elements. It just adds a lot more agility and verticality to its level design and then to Kratos' moveset. So it's a little bit more quicker in that regards. And then basically what it does is it increases the scale of its levels exponentially to the point where it can be extremely overwhelming in the beginning, but if you give yourself some time with the game, it does sort of balance out. But this is going to take you an extraordinary amount of hours to actually see everything through. So, it's a long game, it's a long journey, but at the same time, it's been fantastic so far. All the narrative elements in the game have been extremely interesting to watch. The emotional punches are there. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a well-optimized, well-crafted quality experience and a great continuation to a game that was exceptionally well done and surprisingly well done. On a side note, I think it's a bit unfair to expect this game to have the level of impact that God of War 2018 did because, they basically had to reboot the franchise and refresh it for a modern audience with different expectations and different, levels of game design. And to expect them to do that yet again with Ragnarok would have just been completely unfair. And so, this is a solid continuation. It improves on nearly all the elements, and it just, kind of doubles down on its size and scale. And there's really nothing else to add about that. So it's a great story. It's a great experience. And if you really enjoyed God of War 2018, you're absolutely going to love this game as well. And even if you haven't been into the previous God of Wars, I mean, take it from someone like myself. I mentioned this in my unboxing, but I was never a God of War fan. I never got into the classic games. I played the first and the third one only and never got to actually complete them just because I wasn't really interested in the gameplay elements of those games. And I was completely blown away and captivated by God of War 2018. And this game is an exceptional game that just continues those same great elements from that franchise. So in any case, I hope you guys enjoyed this impressions. Let me know what you think of the game if you've played it. Follow me on Twitter for my more immediate thoughts as they sort of happen, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you very much.